But no, it's a special occasion, and here's hopefully it's a good performance and a good result as well.
You've seen it all, you've been through the highs and the lows, and it's been tough at the moment, but what does it take this afternoon to start steadying and turning around this ship that's won so much in the past 9 years?
Yeah, we start defending better as a team from the front all the way to the back, and I think we've got that in our locker. We know we can do it, and it's just to start playing the way we usually do play, and with the confidence that we play with as well.
Well, we wish you the best of luck this afternoon, Scott.
Thank you very much.
You've seen it all, you've been through the highs and the lows, and it's been tough at the moment, but
short
what
and
does it
sweet,
take
thanks
this
to Scott.
afternoon to
You too can win yourself £3,000 this
that's
afternoon,
won
of
so
course, in
much
our
the past 9
virtual
years?
Paradise Windfall draw. If you download the Celtic Pools app,
as a team.
there's the details there, onto your phone or your tablet, you can purchase a £2 ticket virtually via that app, in with a chance of winning £3,000. We'll announce the winner at half-time of the virtual Paradise Windfall draw, courtesy of Laurie Ross. Let's talk a little bit about Scott Brown. Stelian Petrov, I mentioned you made 228 appearances at the club. What does it show about someone? What does it take to make 600 appearances after some time out, injured? A player who knows all about Celtic, been here a couple of seasons now. How big is it to get him back and fit, Alan?
I think it's very important, because it's no coincidence that, you know, when you see the goals that Celtic concedes at the back, you know, it's a chance to try and get a run of games into him, because he has been missed. You know, there's no doubt about that. You know, you look back to last season where he formed a really good partnership with Christopher Ayer, you know, and
because they're basically recovering and then the atmosphere again. Yeah, I mean, we've probably let too many goals in for our leg, and so it's a collective effort, and it starts from the front all the way to the back. So it's just a mentality thing more than anything else now.
Going into this one, Scott Brown will make his 600th. Appearance for the club now. Nobody's done it better in a Celtic jersey over the last 9 years. As a leader, he's been exemplary. Do you need others now to step up with him and show that same commitment for Scott?
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding on Thursday night. He played quite well last week as well. So if anyone's going to galvanise the players on the pitch, it'll be Scott. And yeah, he needs a few lieutenants alongside. He's had McGregor alongside, you know, Rodgick's in there, good experience. And obviously we've got quality in the final third. So we're just looking for putting it all together. There's been positive signs, but it's been bits and pieces, and it's important we win, we play well.
He's not going to give up. He's that type of person, and he's going to go until the end, which is a great attitude to see.
Odsonne Edouard is the man up front for Celtic this afternoon, Alan. He's not been banging in the goals as he has done in previous seasons, but perhaps a really important goal at the San Siro for him. We know he's still got that talent, and he's still such a major player at the club.
Yeah, you know, I think with Edouard, when you look at him and you see his performances, they ooze class at times, you know, and I think in Milan in the week, you're seeing how clinical he can be when he gets them opportunities. I think one thing that you've got to do with the Celtic team right now, you've got to make sure that you keep giving him the opportunities, because if you do give him the opportunities, he will certainly score. There's no doubt about that. And I thought he looked quite sharp the other night. I think he was one of the pluses when he did have the ball.
Tom Rogic, another player Stilian, who we know from the years he's been here, he can play and he can score spectacular goals. He's getting a run in the team now. Again, the goal in the San Siro will give him more confidence going into a game like this.
Of course, and he's a huge player for Celtic. He's got the class, he's got the awareness, he's got the ability, he's got the capability of changing games. And if we get Tom Rodgers playing the way he can make the difference. Can we see him again to do that in more regular basis? Would love to see it.
And Ryan Christie, the other player, playing a kind of an offensive role, a bit of a freer role behind Odsonne Edouard, but a player who can come up with some spectacular goals. We saw him score a hat-trick against St Johnstone last season.
Yeah, I really like him. I think he's a wonderful talent. I think he moves around the pitch really well, and he's very clever, and I think that this position should suit him. He likes to drift into pockets of areas where defenders don't like. And I'm looking for a big game from him today.
Great, he got great awareness, speed, he's got urgency as well. He makes a huge difference when he's on the top of his game.
It does as well. So it certainly got goals in the team as far as on paper is concerned. Neil Lennon will be desperate for the team to make a positive start to the game as well. How important could an early goal be for Celtic in their confidence?
I think huge. I think when you're going through a little bit of a confidence crisis, the one thing you want to do is start games well. The last thing you want to see here today is not starting the game well and they're on the back foot early on. The one thing that I think Neil will want today, first of all, he'll want the results. I think that's the most important thing. Secondly, a performance, and ultimately I think one which is going to be important for the whole team is a clean sheet.
Yeah. The main thing is, Alan mentioned, and the most important word is performance. That's what you would like to see. You want to see a performance that can maintain that for the long period of the game and a long period of the season, because so far we've been seeing glimpses of good performances through the game, but not throughout the game, which is important. Performance probably is the right word.
We're not going to make excuses, and I'm sure the manager isn't either, but when you hear "You'll Never Walk Alone" being played before a game and it's quiet, there's no fans here, Neil Lennon has said that there's no doubt that these Celtic players have probably been affected by this change more than other clubs, more than other players.
Yeah, we're in a very strange time, both in the stadium and outside of the
game here for 7 weeks, Stilian, but 4 quick games in succession at home. Does that make any difference when there's no fans here?
I was just going to mention about
be 8th in the table, but a 10-match unbeaten run has certainly galvanised the Perthshire side, and they certainly made life difficult for Celtic back on the 4th of October when they actually last suffered defeat. Late goals from Lee Griffiths and Patrick Klimala took the points at McDermott Park that day, and those 2 strikers are available once again on the bench this afternoon for Neil Lennon's side. Celtic back from their trip to the San Siro, where they showed promising signs of their old selves in the opening quarter of an hour. They must build on that despite falling to defeat to the Serie A leaders. With European progression and the Betfred Cup now behind them, the league, as ever, is the major focus. Well, after missing the trip to the San Siro, Christopher Jullien returns to play his first league game since the 12th of September. The Frenchman replaces Hatem El Hamed in the starting 11. It's a landmark day for Callum McGregor, who dons the hoops for the 300th time, while skipper Scott Brown reaches a new milestone too, and today makes his 600th appearance for Celtic. Mohamed El Yunusi, Lee Griffiths and David Turnbull all return to the bench. Callum Davidson makes 3 changes from the team that won at Motherwell recently. Scott
showed promising signs of their old selves in the opening quarter of an hour. They must build on that despite falling to
Jason
defeat.
Kerr has recovered from a back problem but is only fit enough for the bench. Jimmy McCart, son of Celtic's Set of Youth Academy Chris McCart, starts in defence. And there will be a minute's silence for one of the absolute greats of football, an icon of the sport who sadly lost his life recently, Diego Armando Maradona.
To unite and remember Maradona through a period of silence, which will begin and end on the referee's whistle.
A legend of the game whose memory will live on forever. David Munro is the referee for today's game, as Neil Lennon and Callum Davidson greet ahead of this fixture in the top flight on a beautiful Sunday, December afternoon at Celtic Park. Celtic enjoying a rare league game on home turf as they start the first in a series of vital games in the run-up to New Year and beyond. Just the one change from the trip to Milan, but indicates a change in shape as the players take a knee in support of racial equality within football and around the globe. So you can see from Celtic's setup, as we expected, the back three of Christopher Ajer, Christopher Jullien and Nir Bitton, as the big Frenchman goes up to win his first header of the game. Returning to the lineup, of course, he'd been out for a long time. 14 games or so for Jullien, and then didn't manage to play in Milan. But he's a really important figure at the heart of that defence for Neil Lennon's men. I think you touched on it pre-match. They could do with the performance all round, but in particular it's making that defence more solid, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Rory. You know, I think the one thing now, they've got to run the games now where I think you would expect Celtic to pick up maximum points, but when that run consists of, you know, when you've been conceding goals, them games then don't become the formalities that you would think. And I think right now it's all about, first and foremost, getting 3 points, but secondly, starting to build on performances which we haven't probably seen enough of consistently of late.
Yeah, the fixture computer has been a little odd of late, Celtic having this run of away games in the Premiership, but in the lead up to New Year. There's obviously the game here against Lille on Thursday night, but this is the first of 5 in the league. Home to St Johnstone, home to Kilmarnock, then Ross County come here, away to Hamilton, and then at home to Dundee United. A run of fixtures which Neil Lennon will expect maximum points from. The first free kick goes against Scott Brown on appearance number 600 for the club. What an achievement that is.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, he epitomises this football club, and what a professional he's been, you know, to play 600 games and be here the amount of time that he's been here, over 10 years, you know, is incredible, and he deserves, you know, a lot of plaudits for that.
There with the clearance, it's up towards David Wotherspoon. Scott Brown wearing the captain's armband, and as you can see, as he leads the champions again, showing the club's support for the Rainbow Laces campaign, raising awareness and acceptance for people of the LGBTQ community and indeed all walks of life, and celebrating their achievements within football. Here's Jeremy Frimpong to deliver that one across goal, blocked off by Scott Tanser.
I think it's going to be similar today what Celtic came up against with Ross County. You know, a stubborn back line, you know, 5 across the back without the ball, 4 in front of them, protecting them, and it's going to have to be Celtic that are going to come up with the answers today to try and break this St Johnstone team.
Scott Brown down. Yeah, there were missed chances, that's for sure. Raising awareness and acceptance for people of the LGBTQ community and indeed all walks of life, and celebrating their achievements within football. Here's Jeremy Frimpong to deliver that one across goal, blocked off by Scott Tanser.
I think it's going to be similar today what Celtic came up against with Ross County. You know, a stubborn back line, you know, 5 across the back without the ball, 4 in front of them, protecting them, and it's going to the ball 4 in front of them, protecting them, and it's going to have to be Celtic that are going to come up with the answers today to try and break this St Johnstone team down.
Yeah, there were missed chances, that's for sure. One across goal, blocked off by Scott Tanser.
I think it's going to be similar today what Celtic came up against with Ross County. You know, a stubborn back line, you know, 5 across the back without the ball, 4 in front of them, protecting them, and it's going to have to be Celtic that are going to come up with the answers today to try and break this St Johnstone team down.
Yeah, there were missed chances, that's for sure, against the Staggies last weekend, but which Neil Lennon will expect maximum points from. The first free kick goes against Scott Brown on appearance number 600 for the club. What an achievement that is.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, he epitomises this football club, and what a professional he's been, you know, to play 600 games and be here the amount of time that he's been here, over 10 years, you know, is incredible, and he deserves, you know, a lot of plaudits for that.
Higher with the clearance, it's up towards David Wotherspoon. Scott Brown wearing the captain's armband, and as you can see, as he leads the champions again, showing the club's support for the Rainbow Laces campaign, raising awareness and acceptance for people of the LGBTQ community and indeed all walks of life, and celebrating their achievements within football. Here's Jeremy Frimpong trying to deliver that one across goal.
He whipped that ball in, and when Stephen May gets the final shot, but I think there's a little flick and it just hits Julian in the face. He doesn't know much about it, and Stephen May flashes a shot across the box that Beaton clears off the line. Warning signs for Celtic already early on.
Well, Wotherspoon to look to cause more problems with this delivery. A poor one though, cleared at the front post by Callum McGregor. Tanzer knocks it back into the danger area, but this time Julian in full control. And now that's going to be a tester for Rooney, with Edouard closing down. The communication from Tanzer allows him to head to safety rather than making a mistake. An important intervention from Beaton. It's going wide anyway though, isn't it?
It was, but the good thing from Celtic point of view is that Beaton had the sense of dropping, you know, back onto the line, just because he wouldn't have been aware that was going wide. You know, he's just defensively thinking, if this shot flashes across the goal, I need to be in a position.
Rogic, that will be a free kick. Christie downed, and certainly not happy with the attention he received from Craig Bryson. Give Stevie May any more chances or sightings of goal, because he has found his shooting boots again after a few years of the goals drying up. He's on to 9 already this season.
Just don't know whether he just leaves his knee into him, you know, after Ryan Christie has gone down. You know, I don't think there's much in the actual contact, but I think he just leans into his back with his knee as he was going down.
Well, it's Ryan Christie over the free kick for Celtic. Julian, Ayer, Beaton all forward. Scott Brown hovering at the back post as well. Julian gives the curling run. It is towards Julian, and then Rogic. It's just wide from the Australian. A well-worked training ground move, and it almost provided the opening goal for Celtic.
Yeah, we should be saying 1-0 Celtic, and Rogic with a headed goal. You know, he's got to hit the target there with that. You know, it is, as you say, Rory, a really well-worked free kick. Julian round the back run, and Rogic has a real good header to put Celtic 1-0 up.
Here is May. Neat turn from him. Managed to add experience this summer. St Johnstone bringing Stevie May back and adding Bryson. O'Halloran on the move, but he is offside after Rooney tried to play him in.
He'll certainly keep the Celtic defence busy, Stevie May. You know, he is in good form at the moment. He seems to, he's got a few goals. Looks like he's got his mojo back a little bit, in recent games.
Back goes Gordon and finds McCart. I'm sure his dad Chris will be an interested observer. Jamie, who came through the youth ranks here at Celtic. Diego Laxalt. Julian for Beaton. Ayer quickly on this time to McGregor. Laxalt makes an excellent dart down the left channel and tries to find Edouard in the middle.
Celtic certainly look much livelier going forward. Laxalt makes a great run in behind. Callum McGregor and all seems to be in a much more advanced role today. Him and Ryan Christie just in front of that back four of St Johnstone. And it's a great ball by Callum McGregor to Laxalt, who plays a ball across the box. And if anything, Edouard had just checked his run because he thought he was offside, and in the end, by the time it come across, he had too much ground to make up.
Rogic beats Bryson and Witherspoon, and Bryson came back for more.
That's the Tom Rogic that we know he can do. He's got fantastic ability, and I think we're seeing him coming back into form and all with is probably his longest run he's had in games for a considerable amount of months now.
It's an interesting one because he was very nearly away, and I think managing to stay be a real boost for Neil Lennon.
And I think Rory and all, and to be fair, it might have took him a little bit of time to adjust and all, because when you're so close to going away, and obviously it probably would have been a lucrative deal for him, to get yourself mentally back into that right frame of mind, because Neil's talked about the player's mentality and motivation and self-motivation, and I think that would be one of the points that he's alluding to.
Laxalt and McNamara going for that ball. Yeah, it is a fair point. When the players leave the training grounds, there's only so much manager and coaching staff can do.
Yeah, and I think and all is the times that we find ourselves in, not just as players but as people in general, is that they're having to live a different lifestyle right now, and the players obviously would normally do the training, would be around together, whether some of them would go into town and have lunch and do whatever they need to do, but suddenly you finish training and you're straight back indoors, and it's, listen, they've got a really privileged lifestyle, but then at the end of the day they're still human beings and all.
Julian. Now for Callum McGregor. Edouard makes the run, but it's covered by Sean Rooney, who's a signing from Inverness Caledonian Thistle over the summer months.
I think in all, I was covering games yesterday, the Motherwell Hibs game, and in England we seen the first sign of fans back into the stadiums yesterday, and from a fan point of view, it'd be great that if we can make them steps in Scotland and all very soon, because it was a great sight to see, even though there was only a few fans in the stadium yesterday, because they sorely are missed. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. Of course, there were, I think it was 300 up at Ross County earlier today, Global Energy Stadium in Tier 1, and being allowed to attract a few numbers. It seems a long time. When was that? Games in August in Murrayfield when they had 700. You can play the Virtual Paradise Windfall if you go on the Apple Store or Google Play and search for the Celtic Pools app. And supporters must be 18 or over to play. Go to begambleaware.org for further information. Beaton goes up. Drops for Bryson. Now Tanzer. Bryson again, who's been busy. Combative force in the middle of the park for St Johnstone, and now Tanzer. Brown with the acrobatic clearance, and it's an accurate one as well to find Ryan Christie. Celtic perhaps sensing an opportunity on the break. It comes back from Rogic to Brown. Laxalt just ran into a blue wall there. You don't see many of these.
And certainly not from Scott Brown either. He might be getting a little bit older, but he's still certainly doing things that he was doing when he was 19 and 20.
He keeps himself in immaculate condition, Scott Brown. And so you can go on to play your 600th game for the club. Now McGregor. Edouard. Brown misses out Beaton and finds Frimpong. Tanzer not letting him settle. Julian. Edouard looks for McGregor, but it's Bryson who's well placed. Now Halloran will accept the free kick out of Scott Brown. Former Rangers man stays down.
That's Scott Brown stamping his mark on the game and all.
Another chance to send a few of the big boys forward for Callum Davidson's side, and Danny McNamara clips that one towards Rooney. Barkas comes out, didn't manage to get all of it. Beaton will clear up the line.
I think you'd like to see Barkas coming out and either clearing everybody out there with a punch, or come and collect the ball a lot more cleaner, because he looked a little bit hesitant in terms of dangling his hands over the top of players. It wasn't very convincing.
It's inevitable, isn't it, that there is a hesitation when the defensive record is what it has been of late.
Yeah, and I think when you've maybe could have done better with some of the goals that have gone in. I think sometimes then is that don't get involved.
Here's Edouard. This time it's Clark, but Laxalt with the follow-up. Another opportunity, this time falling for Odsonne Edouard, but can't find a way past Zander Clark.
Yeah, and another great ball, defence split on ball for Edouard. Callum McGregor again at the centre of everything, and if anything, you know, he goes with his right foot, a little flick on the outside, and maybe, you know, a bit more confidence, hit it with his left foot, may have been the right one. But much more positive from Celtic. You know, we've seen more in this first 20 minutes than what we did, you know, in the last game against Ross County from an attacking point of view, and much more like the Celtic that we've come to know and see over recent years.
Certainly Odsonne Edouard finished with nonchalant confidence in the San Siro on Thursday night. Brilliant finish, and it all looked so good after a quarter of an hour, 2-0 up. But top quality opposition. Here goes Rogic. That now behind Celtic. Christie has to check back. That allows Tanser to get back in. Wotherspoon up the line from Bryson. Brown takes charge once more. Beaton. Christie opens it up for Christopher Ayer. Julian. McGregor has just managed to find some space. Laxalt to Callum McGregor. Brown. Edouard. It's a loose one from Laxalt though, and that allows Stevie May to retrieve possession for St Johnstone before he was bundled over by the Uruguayan. Free kick going the way of St Johnstone, but Stevie May and Michael O'Halloran are still down on the turf. Two important players for Callum Davidson.
Still, I think Michael O'Halloran there is feeling the effects of, I think, the Scott Brown challenge just a little bit earlier, where I don't know whether he got caught down